friends, welcome back to another episode of Heart to Palate, and today's recipe is Nankhatai, which is very dear to me, and it's been introduced to us when we were younger by our dear Vandantai, and she was the one, we always used to look up to her, and she was our idol all the time, and she's the one who introduced this recipe to us. So it's very dear to me, this recipe, and thank you Vandantai for sharing your recipe with me and teaching us how to make the Nankhatai. So let's get started. Nankhatai is very simple recipe. All you need is 3 ingredients. Usually people make it with the maida or all-purpose flour, but I'm making it with, I make it with the wheat flour. So I've taken 3 cups of wheat flour. I've taken 1 cup of ghee and 1 1/2 cups of sugar, which is granulated sugar, fine sugar. And I'm going to show you the next. So I'm going to start blending the ghee first. And that's a very tricky step. So if you don't have a hand blender, make sure you blend the ghee very nicely. You have to literally beat it for so long so that it becomes nice and fluffy, and that gives a nice crispy and light texture to your Nankhatai. So this is very important step. So make sure your ghee becomes nice and fluffy. So I'm just going to beat up the ghee first. So make sure when you're blending the ghee, you have to blend it up to that stage where it's nicely, you can see all the bubbles coming out, and that's how it makes it very light and fluffy. So your Nankhatai's success depends on this particular stage. So keep beating it until you see nice bubbles coming out. तर जे आपण म्हणतो ना फेटणं असतं हाताने, जर तुमच्याकडे हँड ब्लेंडर नसेल तरी यू कॅन यूज युअर नॅचरली गिवन हँड ब्लेंडर. देवाने जे हात दिलेत ते, आणि छानपैकी फेटायचं असतं. So that's a very tricky. Slowly I'm going to incorporate the sugar now. So keep beating. Like so. So now you can see how the ghee and sugar mixture is getting nicely fluffy. So you have to incorporate as much as air as possible because that's the key step. So I'm going to keep mixing the sugar into this ghee now. And see how nice and fluffy it has become. I'm going to add the last batch of sugar now. And just finish blending this. So you can see how nicely the ghee is blended now with the sugar. It's nice and fluffy. You can see, you can hear that light thing and air being incorporated into the ghee. Now slowly we are going to add the maida. If you want to add the maida, you can add maida, but I'm using the wheat flour and I'm going to incorporate that slowly into this. So after some time, when it gets really tight, the dough, you just have to use your hand and just make sure you make a nice dough out of it, and then we'll start making peda like balls, and we're going to arrange it on a baking tray and bake it in the oven. So it's that simple. I'm going to slowly incorporate the maida into this. I'm going to add rest of the maida slowly into this sugar and ghee mixture. Now we are reached up to the stage where you cannot use a hand blender anymore. So I'm just going to take off the blades like that, and I'm going to start kneading the dough with my hand now. So make sure you have a nice dough now formed. after finishing incorporating the entire wheat flour. So you'll have a nice dough and we are going to make the pedas out of it. छोटे छोटे पेड्यासारखे आपण त्याचे हे बनवणार आहोत shapes. And then I'm just going to bake it. Put it on a baking sheet, a baking tray. And I'm going to bake it at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 minutes or so, 20-25. So keep an eye, depending upon your oven, you have to just gauge it. And in terms of Celsius, it's 180 degrees Celsius, about 20-25 minutes. So आमची आई जेव्हा बनवायची, I think we got our oven, म्हणजे छोटा जो oven असतो, not like toaster oven वगैरे, पण एक वेगळ्या टाईपचा oven मिळायचा. It used to be a dome shaped thing, and I think Dada got that thing for his wedding as a gift. So that's when we started making Nankhatais at home. So we used to have batches of 10 नानकटे आम्ही त्या छोट्या ovenमध्ये करायचो. And it used to be a entire project of the पूर्ण दुपारभराचा असं project असायचं. And I was really patient and she would do it like and she used to make अर्धा 1 किलोची ती नानकटे घरी बनवायची. So the Nankhatai has very sweet memories in our mind. Because of Vandantai we started actually learned to make the Nankhatai. I was in 2nd grade, maybe or 1st grade, and we used to go to that local bakery in Girgaon, and we used to have the patra तेव्हा किती असे trays मिळायचे आणि आम्ही तिथे I think they used to charge us like 5 rupees or so per tray, and then we used to lay these Nankhatai on them and bake them. So खूप अशा गोड आठवणी आहेत. Life was so simple when we were growing up. Like we didn't have to have fancier appliances or gadgets, but still we would enjoy all the delicacies and things like that. So I'm glad we are like blessed with all these memories growing up, which are really precious. Money can't buy certain things, so these are all the memories which you would cherish all throughout the life. And I think food has a lot of connection with your emotions, with your memories. So this is one of the very close to my heart recipe. And thank you Vandantai for introducing us to the Nankhatai. So I think it's almost done. So I'm going to start making the balls now. So we have kneaded the dough for the Nankhatai now. So I'm going to start making the pedas out of the Nankhatai dough now. So just take maybe a little bit of dough ball and make sure it's when you make the ball, it's completely smooth. There are no cracks on it. It has to be a smooth surface when you're making the pedas out of this dough. Look at that. So this is the size of dough I'm making pedas. If you find it's a little dry, you can always add a little bit of maybe tablespoon of ghee again on top of it. And this is the size of peda. Look at the size. It's maybe size of a quarter over here. आता माहिती नाही इंडियात रुपयाचं नाणं किती असतं, पण काइंड ऑफ पेढे जसे असतात तेवढ्या साईजचे आपण बनवतो हे balls. And make sure it's a smooth surface. Like so. I'm going to start keeping them a centimeter apart. So there's room for, when you're baking, there's a room for, expanding the Nankhatai. So likewise, I'm going to start making the pedas. So likewise, I'm going to finish making all the pedas out of the dough, and I've already kept my oven for preheating for about 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius, and I'll show you the next step. And we're going to bake our Nankhatai for about 20-25 minutes, I would say. So just I'm going to show you, I'm going to finish making these first. So with this measurement I made about 68 Nankhatai. So with 3 cups I would say it would make about, depending on how big you're making, at least 60 Nankhatais you can make. So each cup will give you about 20 Nankhatais. Now I've already preheated my oven for 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to bake them. And you have to make sure when you're making these pedas, it has to be a smooth surface. They don't have, they should not have any cracks over this when you're making it right now. And after you pop it in the oven, you'll see eventually it will start expanding and you'll see the cracks. So that's how you'll know that they're getting cooked and they're getting baked. So I'm going to show you the next step now. Now you can see our Nankhatais are nicely done. There are cracks on the top of it and you can see perfectly brown on the bottom. So you can see I just had to bake it around, look at that, perfectly baked. They're a little brownish in color because we have used wheat flour, and they're perfectly healthy and good to indulge on and once in a while. So please do try this recipe. The recipe is in the description box below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Heart to Palate.